So he's rolling to try and 3-star one of them. You see he rolls as deep as he possibly can. He gets the Cho'Gath, and then when he dices, you can see how no units in the shop was Rammus, because you can't get Rammus because you already 3-starred the Rammus, and the game is not going to give you a unit with loaded dice that you already have 3-starred. Welcome back to another Alvado video. Today's video, I'm going to be covering a game played by everyone's favorite streamer, K3Soju. Now, if you couldn't already tell by the thumbnail, he is going to be playing a high roller threats game. You can see first augment takes the dice there. He went for sword off of carousel, and he got dropped belt and rod. And so he gets the first augment and he chooses to full open. This is the way that he thinks is the best strategy in playing the high roller threat comp, because you need a lot of money when you use the dice and buy all the threats, and you don't want to end up at 0 gold and having to, get all your econ back throughout the stage. So he basically just full opens this entire stage. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end of the stage. Okay, so here we are now at Krug's, and he needs to beat Krug, so he goes ahead and decides to use a dice on Cho'Gath to make sure he doesn't lose. Now, when you're playing threat comp, there's not a whole lot of AD carries that you can use items for. So if you are trying to figure out whether or not you should go for this comp, you definitely would rather have, full tank items or tank items and AP items mixed. So he used the first dice, and now he's using the second dice. But something that you might notice is that he saves the third dice for a while. You're not going to 3-star a threat by using all 3 dice immediately, and most of the time, you're just going to end up buying your whole shop and griefing your econ anyways. So what you really want to do is you want to use 2 dice immediately to get a 2-star of every threat, so that your board is strong, but there's no need in using the third dice. You're just going to have the threats sitting on your bench, and you're just going to be griefing your econ anyways. So he actually rolls past trade sector. I believe he scouted and saw that he was the only person playing threat comp. So he didn't feel the need to, he wasn't contested in any way. So he didn't feel the need to get trade sector, because considering he's uncontested and his board is like as strong as it is right now, there's no reason to miss out on a good combat augment. So his game plan right now is to just hold all the 3-cost threats that he can, and then look to dice later after he's 3-starred some threats already. So he's carrying Cho'Gath. Most of the time, if you have a bunch of strong tank items, you want to, he's carrying Vel'Koz. But most of the time, if you have a bunch of tank items, you want to end up carrying Rammus, because Rammus is just like an overtuned unit at the moment. If you give a Rammus 2 or 3 tank items, and that Rammus is going to do a bunch of damage, and he's not going to die. So as long as your board, is like put together in some decent way, then the Rammus is just going to streak you. So something to notice is that he took 40 damage by full opening stage 2. And so now he's at 60 HP. But he wins out the entire stage 3, so you might be looking at his HP and thinking he went like a little too low after full opening. But at the end of the day, if you lose an entire stage and then you win the entire next stage, you can already see that he's not even close to being the lowest health in the lobby. You would think with someone being 19 HP at stage 3-6 that they had like Cruel Pact or something. But That is just a consequence of how the current meta is, and they do not have Cruel Pact. They're actually just been taking that much damage. Yeah, so if you look at his board, it's just civilian and threats. When you play threats, you want civilian in, and then you eventually want mascot in. Civilians have, mascots give your team percent max HP healing, and the threats health pool is already very high. You can look at the Cho'Gath and the Rammus, and you can see that they have a 2-star Cho'Gath and 2-star Rammus are actually in GS range already. So he now chooses to level up to level 7. And he's rolling for these 3-star threats. And he still has this dice on his bench. Because something that I learned from him is that when you use a loaded dice, it only can give you units that you haven't 3-starred already. So, if you go ahead and 3-star one of the threats, and then proceed to use the dice, you can't get any of the 3 costs. Or you can't get any of the threats that you already have 3-starred. So he's rolling to try and 3-star one of them. You see he rolls as deep as he possibly can. He gets the Cho'Gath, and then when he dices, you can see how no units in the shop was Rammus, because you can't get Rammus because you already 3-starred the Rammus, and the game is not going to give you a unit with loaded dice that you already have 3-starred. And normally you would have Nunu in instead of... normally you would have Alistar in instead of Nunu, but on his level 7 roll down, he found 2 Nunus, so he just chose to hold the Nunus, and then he doesn't have any use for Alistar. And Alistar 2 might be better than a Nunu 1, but then he would have to lose Econ holding onto the Nunus and the Alistars, and his board is already strong enough that he already knows he's going to be hitting level 8 at some point in time in this game. So he chooses to just like forego holding the Alistars and just only losing Econ by holding the Nunu pair instead of the Alistars as well. And again, you can still tell that you can see that he's still at 60 HP. I also passed by the hero augment. Another reason for him holding the Nunus is because the 3rd augment could have been a hero augment. There's like a really high chance that it was a hero augment. And you can only get civilian, mascot, and threat, meaning he could only get Fiddlesticks, Urgot, Janna, or Nunu if it was a 5-cost hero augment. So there was a chance that the hero augment just gave him a Nunu too. So that was something incentivizing him to holding on the Nunu pair. But he just went ahead and he got the Nikos with the Rammus hero augment because it gives him a free Rammus. And he used that to get the Rammus 3, and Spike Shell is a really strong hero augment, even though he doesn't have any items on it. Yeah, this comp, it's easy to grasp at a fundamental level, but knowing all these little things definitely helps you a lot more. You can see someone in the lobby had Blitzgrab through Underground, or no, he has Living Forge. So someone has Blitzgrab, and he was making sure to not get his Vel'Koz grabbed by the Blitzgrab. Again, he's looking to find a final item for his Vel'Koz because that's most of his damage. Even though most of his board, his entire board is dealing damage, but of course, Vel'Koz with 2 items is probably almost always going to be doing the most damage. So if you want to pause the video here, I'm curious what you think he made. He has bow, glove here. So there were 2 options there. I think it was GS or Hodge, or it was Guardbreaker Shiv. And he went ahead and made Guardbreaker Shiv And I do think he probably should have put the guard breaker on the Cho'Gath, considering he already has JG on it and he wants more crit. And then he could have just put the Shiv on probably Sivir. Or you can see he leveled this turn, so maybe he could have just put it on... Or he could have just went around without playing the Shiv, and then he could have gotten the Shiv on an Urgot. But Shiv does give AP now, so giving him more AP is also like a good option as well. And since he has the carry Rammus hero augment, it's not like Guardbreaker is a bad item on this Rammus. But I think it would have been a slightly stronger on the Cho'Gath. But then he would have had like less value out of the Shiv, because giving AP to something like Sivir or Urgot doesn't do a whole lot. So it's pretty funny. I don't know if you guys ever seen like a celebrity that has like 2 bodyguards, and you know the celebrity doesn't look like, the celebrity looks like really small, but they might even be like not that small, but they just look small because there's 2 bodyguards that are like massive. That's kind of like Soju right now with this Cho'Gath and this Rammus. Cho'Gath is the celebrity, and I mean Soju is the celebrity, and Cho'Gath and Rammus are his bodyguards. Especially when he ducks down on his camera like this. But yeah, I just think this game was played extremely well. I think he played the mid game really well, and he just understands how to use the dice at the, like, to maintain his econ at the highest level. Now, of course, there was some high rolling. You know, he's uncontested, so there's going to be a lot of games where if it's a prismatic augment and 2 people are chosen or like are shown loaded dice, then there's a good chance that you might be contested. But the thing is, like, that's just how TFT works. There's a lot of, you know, so many games you're gonna play, and you have to high roll to get it first. That's just like how it works. Of course, you want to get a top 4, and you can get a top 4 through skill, but you can't necessarily get a first through pure skill. It's skill in combination with high rolling. And he definitely gets rewarded for playing this comp at the highest level. With, you know, a Nunu 2 on level 8, and then just some extra Urgots farming him gold. You can see here, he kind of does like a catch-22, where he puts the Zephyr in the spot where the Talia is, and then the opponent can either choose to swap into double Urgot ult and, you know, get hit by the High Tide Urgot cast, or he can stay in the corner and get Zephyred. So Zephyr Urgot is pretty good, because then you can just put Urgot on one of the 2 sides, and and they either get Zephyred or they get hit with the Urgot cast. He had this Galio 2 for the entire game, or this Galio pair for the entire game, and never hit it, but he did hit Nunu 2, Janna 2, and Fiddle 2. And yeah, I mean, his board just has way too much effective HP, way too much damage. You know, half of his board is like a carry. You can't really beat a board like this. Yeah, that was the game. Thanks for watching the video. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.